Hello, author Sandy Young of A Legacy of Strength, My Story on Paper. And I've been talking about several different topics in my book in my last couple of videos. And today the one I would like to discuss is children not having a voice. I grew up in a time where children were seen, not heard. And I want to talk about the importance, especially for young girls and really boys too, having a sense of their body and what happens to it, and feeling that they can say, I don't want to do this, or I'm not comfortable with this, and be able to set that boundary without repercussion or consequence. So when I was 9 years old, visiting grandparents, it was very much expected by my father that I kiss and hug my grandparents, hello, and then goodbye. And one day in particular, I just didn't want to. It wasn't that I felt uncomfortable. It wasn't that I didn't love my grandparents. I just didn't want to give a hug and kiss goodbye to my grandpa. And my grandpa was okay with it. And my dad wasn't. And we got in the car. I did not kiss and hug my grandpa. He was like, it's okay. She doesn't need to. But once in the car, my dad gave me a lecture of how it makes a grandparent's day. This is what they live for. And it set that tone in my mind that I had to please other people. What they were going through is what mattered, not that what I didn't feel comfortable with, especially when it came to something involving my body. And so once home, my dad actually gave me a spanking for not kissing and hugging my grandpa goodbye. And so it set that precedence of telling me in my mind that I have to please other people, that what they feel and they want is more important than what I'm feeling. And even it comes down to something with my body, that it is more important that I listen to this authoritative figure, because look at what can happen if I don't. I could be spanked and have that verbal manipulation. And so I talk about this, and I want to stress to people what that message sends to a child for then when you become a teenager. And when you look at my story and the loss that I experienced and the different traumas that I went through, feeling loved and having affection by someone became very important to me. So in my teenage years, when here comes this older teenage boy that starts to show me some attention, I, number one, want it because I am feeling that I'm missing out on some love and affection in my life. But more than that, I felt I couldn't say no to him, because I was brought up that if someone else wants to do something from me or is expecting something, then I better do it, especially when it's a person who's older than me. And that was what happened. I got into a space where I was using unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with some grief and loss. And I also didn't feel I had a say over my body to be able to say, no, don't do this, because I was concerned what would my consequence be if I said no. And to keep it a little bit short, we're going to fast forward even into my 30s and even now, where I, as a woman, still can have a hard time telling someone that don't do this, don't touch me, or don't hug me, I don't want to do this, because there is that I still can't speak up for myself. I have to be a pleaser. And I will give you an example. I was out a few weeks ago with a friend, and we were sitting at a restaurant. We decided to sit in the bar area, and we were sitting across from each other. And two gentlemen happened to be sitting next to us. We're enjoying conversation, and the gentleman next to me, he was very handsy, and he kept tapping my arm over and over. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, stop touching me. But we're having such a nice conversation, the four of us, that I didn't want to ruin that vibe of the moment of our having this conversation to tell this person to stop touching me. And even his friend at one point had said to him, "Hey, do you notice you keep hitting her arm?" And so he kind of stopped, but then it started again because, so in my mind, I am saying this is what he does. It's in his nature just to tap someone's arm as he's talking. And, but again, it's his thing. Why am I sitting here through the evening feeling not uncomfortable that I'm being violated, but just it's annoying? And yet, still, as a grown woman and all the work that I've done, I still couldn't say to him, "Stop touching me. Sit on your hands, do what you need to do," in a polite way. But those are the things that we have to, as adults, realize that what examples we're setting for our children, especially when it comes to their bodies, of what they can have control over, especially when it comes to being kissed, hugged, or touched. So it's very important. My message is to please learn from what I have experienced, read more about it in my book, and realize the lasting effect that type of upbringing has had all these years later, that I still couldn't speak up and say, "Don't touch me," because you don't want to ruin the vibe and you want to just be a people pleaser, and realize this is this person's thing versus putting my needs and setting that boundary for myself. So again, I thank you for listening. Please take a look at my book, take a look at my website. I would love to continue the conversation. Please give me feedback and think about your own reflections of this topic and how maybe you were raised. And would you, if you were in an instance where you were out and somebody just kept hitting your arm, would you be able to speak up and say, "Stop doing this"? Thank you again. Sandy Young, A Legacy of Strength, my story on paper.